Hey there, music makers. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus and Hayes.
And welcome to Mandolin Secrets Live, a bi-weekly show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our question of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing how to make cross-picking arrangements. We're also going to be talking about, do you use any non-musical practices like meditation or yoga to help your mandolin playing? And also, what do you find most challenging about the mandolin? Before we dive into this week's discussion, though, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/live to sign up for reminders about our upcoming streams. And if you can't tune in live, never fear. Just search Mandolin Secrets Live on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release a new episode.
All right, but the first thing I want to ask you today is, do you use pick ornaments in your mandolin playing? You might even think, what is a pick ornament? And I actually released a brand new video on the YouTube channel and inside the Academy where I'm kind of dealing with this. And for me, like the pick ornament is when we're actually playing out every note with our picking hand. And there's a little like, there's another option that is like doing some left hand ornaments where we're doing like trills and things like that, right? So let us know in the comment section if you use pick ornaments or not. And I'm also happy to actually go a little bit deeper into what a pick ornament actually is. What do you think about a pick ornament, Hayes? Is that a term you use even?
It's a term that I use for sure, but it's not a technique that I really was familiar with until I started diving into like classical music. Mm-hmm. For the mandolin. You know, for anyone who's listening, you'll know that I kind of come from more of a bluegrass type background. Mm-hmm. And I would say in the stuff that I've learned bluegrass style, it's more been left hand ornamentations as opposed to the pick ornamentations that I got familiar with.
Yes.
What about you, though? Because I think you've got a bit of a different relationship with it.
No, I would also say the same. Also by playing like a lot of fiddle tunes and things like that. It's mostly like left-hand ornaments, hammer-on, pull-off, trills like that. But also by learning some classical music, listening to players like Avi Avital, and you can hear they're doing a lot of like this pick ornaments. And what I think it's quite cool with the pick ornaments, it adds actually a lot of energy to the melodies, I think. It's also the fact when we're using like left-hand techniques, a note that we are like doing hammer-on or pull-off, like legato style, it's not as loud in volume as the pick note, right?
Exactly.
But when you're doing like the pick ornaments, you don't have that issue, sort of. So I think it's a very, very useful technique and something I'm using quite a lot. Then I also kind of, by playing a little more of classical music, I'm more exposed to it, sort of. And I was actually thinking, should we just play back a little sample of the video lesson that I just published?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because a lot of folks listening might not even still know what we're talking about in terms of a pick ornament, so that could be good.
Yeah, it's coming here, and I'm also like going to include my little explanation of it that is in the video, sort of.
Great.
Hello there, mandolin players. In this video I want to show you how to play some ornaments with the pick. And this pick ornaments is something that I use a lot in my upcoming song Mando Life. And just to give you an idea what a pick ornament is that when we're picking out every note with a pick. You can hear this in like Vivaldi pieces. things like that. And like the opposite of a pick ornament would be doing a trill with a fretting hand, right? So in this video, I want to show you how you can get the pick ornaments to work for you. Yeah, so that's the little introduction of the video. And if someone want to know a little bit more about this, go check out this video. We will even include the link to this video in the description of this podcast episode.
Yeah, definitely. I really like the description there too, because you can definitely hear the what do I want to say, the you know what I mean? There's what is it, like some people talk about like note separation or articulation that way. So it's yeah.
Definitely related to the articulation. And as I said, the way that I think that the pick ornament, that kind of adds a little like drive and push to the music, whereas the more legato ornament, that is more like adding some like plastic, what would the word be, but more elastic kind of feel to the melody.
Yeah, that's a great word for it, like a fluid kind of thing.
Fluid,
right?
yes, yeah. But did any comments come in from someone or is it?
I didn't see it. So we've got some folks watching with us here. Karen Art Nooks just says that she just started trying triplets and stuff.
Yes,
I think
that is a very good thing to point out. That the triplets, that's very related to this. I'm not calling this a triplet. First off, the triplet, that's something that we're using a lot when playing Celtic music, Irish, English, Scottish music. And one funny thing about the word triplet, most often it's not even a triplet. Most often it's another kind of, an underlying rhythm behind it.
Yeah, so it's like a different ornament, but there are 3 notes or something, so people call them triplets, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so the triplet is very, very related to this. So studying this little exercise that I put out will also improve the triplets.
Yeah,
sure.
And since Karen said that too, and I'm kind of thinking about it, I hear this sound a lot in Celtic music, like with mandolin players. They'll articulate triplets and cuts this way, you know what I mean?
Yes.
With the pick as opposed to the left hand.
Yes, a lot. Yeah, for sure. And they can do it. I mean, the ones that are really good at this can do it at a very high speed even. It's like rattling this. It's very cool thing.
And it's almost like in the folks that I've seen play, it's like their hand doesn't even move. You know what I mean? So it's like the motion is so fast. It's like a hummingbird. You know, you can't even see the wings flapping.
No, yeah, I like that. Yes, but as we said, for people that are listening in this in your podcast service, you find a link in the description to this.
Definitely.
All right, let's dive into some of the other questions you had there, Hayes.
Yeah, I was going to say this question, I really like that we started with the pick ornaments thing, because the question that I asked in our community 2 weeks ago was, what do you find most challenging about playing the mandolin? And a lot of people came up with speed and accuracy in the right hand. And I think those two things are very related to what we just talked about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that was definitely one of the most common questions, or excuse me, one of the most common answers to that question was to what you find most challenging.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice, Magnus, for people that are trying to do this pick ornament thing, but they find speed and accuracy problematic in their right hand?
I think that one thing that is actually worth pointing out, that adding the ornament is not about like forcing the tunes to play at a very high tempo. So speed and accuracy, it occurs, the challenge occurs when the tempo is high, right? But it also occurs at slower tempos when we want to add ornaments or speed runs or like things like this. And what I can see, like, because when people are having challenge with the speed and accuracy, I think most of the people bringing this up, it's a question about playing at fast tempos.
Yes.
Yeah, but going into some improving the ornaments and this way of speed runs and things like that at slower tempos will increase your technique that you can use in the fast tempos also. So it's a very good thing to kind of tackle the speed and accuracy by getting this, because I mean it's like because at higher tempos your hands have to move fast all the time, sort of.
100% of the time, yeah.
But at slower tempos, you can be at a like a mid tempo, but then you're like doing a little ornament where the hands are getting into these fast movements, and that is so it's a little bit going back and forth, I guess, back and forth between fast and a little bit slower. So it's a good way to get into that, I would say.
I like that. Yeah, I would agree that finding what I want to say, like smaller examples like these pick ornaments to kind of, what would you say, dip your toe into the water of playing fast could be a good thing, right?
Yeah. And I just, it comes to my mind, I had a one-on-one lesson just the other month with a guy that really was struggling with the fast tempos, and he was doing a really good work, really. But I also asked him, how about doing some speed runs? And he said, no, I never tried it. So I got him to also kind of try that. And when I'm talking about speed runs, let's say we have a tune that is subdivided, dun da ga da ga da ga dun da di di da di da di dun da di da da, that sort of thing. And when we're doing a speed run, we're kind of leaving this kind of the underlying subdivision, going into some and when I presented that to him, and he was since it was new to him, it was something that was really challenging. But he was really smart though. He figured out just like instantly that, so when I'm playing it 180 and I'm doing the speed run, then my hands are moving in the speed of 220, sort of. I mean, I'm not sure of the numbers now, but he was very fast doing this realization.
That's awesome though. Yeah, right. Because if you're doing like you were saying, you're keeping your tempo at 180, and then you do a 16th note triplet lick. You know what I mean? It increases the speed. That's a really cool way of looking at it.
I haven't talked to this guy since the lesson, but I think we touched upon something, at least a new way for him to approach the challenge of speed and accuracy. And when we can find different entering points for when we're facing a challenge, it's very good, right? Because the more entry points we can find, probably it will be easier for us to find the solution.
I totally agree with you on that. You and I talked about this at length the last year, because speed playing was really something that I wasn't great at until recently, or at least I couldn't do very well until recently. But yeah, having that one kind of crack in the dam, you know what I mean, where you can fit something fast into the tune. For me, it was that a piece of that Chris Thiele type lick that you showed, the what is it? Right, Yeah. But just taking the first 6 notes of that and throwing it into fiddle tunes to lead into it really that showed me that it was possible for me to just move my hands fast like that for 2 minutes at a time, as opposed to just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. I
Yeah.
can attest to your methods because they helped me.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And
Yeah.
and I mean, but talking about challenge for mandolin, I would say that is also one of the challenges that I face, tackling the fast tempos and things like that. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, and I was going to say that actually leads really well into the question of the week that I asked after that,
Mm-hmm.
because you and I have talked about this before too. Part of playing fast is removing all tension from your
Yes.
body, right? Like,
Yeah.
or as much as you possibly can. It's impossible to
Yeah.
remove 100%.
Yeah.
Um, but the question that I asked the next week was,
Mm.
do you use any non-musical practices to
Mm.
help your mandolin playing? And I gave some examples like meditation or cardiovascular exercise or
Yeah.
any of these kinds of things. Um,
Mm.
and I know that you have kind of some techniques and routines that you go through to help this. So would you mind talking
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think actually most of the things that I do that is like not spending time with my mandolin, in some way it also improves my playing and my musicianship. So I can think of that question in a very like broad way even. But
Yeah.
if we're like sticking to like physical activity, both you and me are like have experience doing yoga, things like that, and things that can help you to relax and release tension. It's very very good for playing a musical instrument, for sure. And I have actually a routine that I'm doing at a daily basis, just to. I want to also like I can tell you that I started doing yoga in 2005. That was because I had some problems with my shoulders. And I went to this acupuncture people, I went to
Yeah.
massage people, all kinds of help. And there was a lady who gave me a lot of good, like, to being like, to bring more flexibility and circulation into like physical exercises. And I was actually we were doing a school trip when I were at the Royal College of Music in Stockholm. I shared this room with one guy, and he saw me in the morning. Because also, even this is like 16 years back ago, but I was doing my exercises like, and he said, "Oh," and I told me it's to help me with my shoulder problem and all that. So he said, "Oh, it looks nice your exercises. That actually looks like simplified yoga exercises. You should try yoga," he said. And I took him by the word and like applied to a class and started back in 2005. And the effects were much way better than I expected. Not even my shoulder problems went away, but also, I mean, well, all the effects of yoga in the way of living life, I would say. Well, what is your experience with yoga?
Yeah, yoga, that's something that really I didn't start doing until I had gotten out of graduate school. So I guess this would have been around like maybe 2014 was really my first real experience with yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was actually the same thing as you, shoulder problems. I feel like
Mm.
shoulder problems are really common with mandolin players and
Yeah.
string instrument players in general, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I always notice when I'm on stage, like my shoulders go
Mm-hmm.
straight up into my ears if I'm
Mm.
playing something really fast or high energy. And I
Yeah.
think just doing that forever really
Yeah.
kind of screwed me up. But yoga definitely helped do that. But the thing that I discovered in yoga, rather than just kind of helping pull my shoulders back and getting my body in alignment,
Mm.
um, the instructor that I saw was also really into pairing yoga. We would do like maybe 15 minutes worth of meditation in each yoga session, and also kind of, so instead of just kind of relaxing the body and stretching the body, it was more about centering the mind as well. So, and I think that's, for me, that was the crucial part of yoga that kind of flipped the switch and was like, this could be really beneficial to my mandolin playing, because it helps me clear all kind of, what do you say, distractions away, and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where yoga led me.
Yeah. I'm totally with you on that. So, well, I think we were also touching upon something here that I can see here. Ian is here with us, and he got a experience with left shoulder pain, so need to reduce tension. He do Pilates, so I think all this kind of mind body sort of activity and workout things is brilliant it's a brilliant combination with playing a musical instrument, because let's face it, it's not a like a natural ergonomic position most of the time playing a musical instrument. And even the fact that we're kind of sticking our hands, arms, shoulders in these positions, for sometimes we can play it for hours on the same day. So of course it's very good to do some kind of activity that, well, helps you release tension and get more like circulation into the system. And as well, as you said, to center the mind and sharpening your focus, basically. Yeah,
it's great. And I guess for anyone listening out there too, we've been talking a lot about yoga and some of the stuff related to that. I can say that yoga is a great thing to practice if you're looking to find this thing in your mandolin playing. But there are also a number of other practices that I saw people throw out on the community that were kind of, I think you would get the same thing out of,
Yeah.
So some people were even talking about like Tai Chi and other martial arts that they were studying that kind of incorporate these elements. So there are a lot of different practices for you out there.
Exactly. Alexander technique, I hear a lot of people talk about.
I took a class about that in college, and it's funny because it's like a repackaging of these principles that we've talked about just from another perspective, because there's a lot of, I would call it meditation that you do. They call it constructive rest, where you put the body in a position to relieve tension and be mindful of where tension is in the body and stuff. So it's very similar to some of the methodologies that you would find in yoga and stuff like that. But yeah, Alexander technique, I think that's a great one.
Yes. And I have actually, since there was times in my life that I also had time to do like a proper yoga routine every morning. But nowadays my time is limited, mainly because I have 2 kids back home. But I've kept this routine, and now I kind of intensified it, sort of condensed it, I would say. So I'm doing like a 5-10 minute routine every morning, basically, to help. Well, I say it again, but it really helps to release tension, and it's even like sharpening my focus a little bit. I even have a couple of like. Not a mantra maybe, but some kind of affirmation that I'm actually putting. It's 8 movements that I'm going through, and I'm not comfortable like sharing it here and showing it, but maybe at some point. I actually done it at some of my live teaching classes. Starting the session by working out, doing these things with them. And it's very like focused for shoulders, arms, wrists, fingers even, and head and neck. That is.
Yeah. I mean, those are the trouble areas when it comes to playing an instrument, like you said, so those, he won't share the secrets with us today, folks, but we'll get him to do it one of these days.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's actually one thing that it could be a little short video series if there's an interest or
Yeah.
something like that.
I know I would be interested for sure. Yeah, well, that's great. I think that puts a good kind of cap on that non-musical practice question that we were talking about there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play back a little clip here because I heard you play a really nice cross-picking arrangement of Liza Jane the other day. You remember you posted to your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
I mean, we just had this cross-picking webinar and it kind of promoted that, and you were playing because I heard you play Liza Jane before, but hearing you playing this time, it really like lit a fire in me, and I think it was so cool. So let us like listen to it once, and then you can also just give us some quick thoughts on how you do when you're like creating a cross-picking arrangement like this. Sounds okay?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, really nice. I can see the hearts and the thumbs up are coming in as we're playing back this tune.
That's great. I'm glad someone out there enjoys it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liza Jane is definitely one of my favorite tunes to kind of give that treatment to the cross picking thing, or tunes like Liza Jane, I should say. Ones with they're almost like vocal melodies, right? Like really long held notes and things like that. So that's a fun one for me to play. But yeah, you were kind of talking about what's my process for making a cross pick arrangement, or what do I think about when I'm doing that? So first, I guess I could just kind of said step one. I usually try to choose tunes that are conducive to cross picking before I play it. So like finding a tune that has those spaces in it. Because when I was first getting into cross picking, I would see folks like Jesse McReynolds play this really blazingly fast stuff, but it's like it's kind of like what you were talking about with the speed licks beforehand, though. You know, like you have to find an entry point into this to make it comfortable. You know, if you just try and like cross pick the like craziest melody and the fastest tune first, you're gonna fall on your face and it's gonna be demoralizing. So. I think the first tune that I ever did a cross pick arrangement for was Wildwood Flower, which is a really simple vocal melody. But yeah, finding a tune with those spaces in it and setting yourself up for success is definitely like kind of the first step that I would say for making a cross pick arrangement. And then after that, we talked about this in this webinar that we gave last week, right? There are kind of like two different cross picking patterns that people tend to gravitate toward. There's a 4+4, and there's a 3+3+2, and to me the 4+4 is the most logical for people to start messing with and adding to their cross picking arrangements first, and that's what I did because it's even, right? It's instead of 3-3-2, which is like a kind of a lopsided pattern. You know, for those of you out there listening, a 3-3-2 pattern sounds like this. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. But because that's uneven, melody notes in tunes tend to fall in even spots in the measure, right? On downbeats and things like this. So if you're using a pattern that's not exactly even, then you have to shift melody notes around in order to get them to fit inside of that pattern, right? But if you use that 4+4 pattern, which is more like this: 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. That's actually the one that I started using for Liza Jane. right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of my general approach to making a cross-picking arrangement. Taking a simple pattern and a simple tune and putting it together to get what I would call like a sketch or like a rough draft of the melody out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then step 3 would be to kind of go back and see, like, are there spots where 3-3-2 works, or are there spots where I can make 3-3-2 work? So instead of like this, you know, you know, so like adding your 3-3-2 patterns to add some syncopation and kind of
yes, I think that it makes it a little more vivid and more like groovy just by hearing that.
Yeah, you kind of want to like shake with it a bit. And I think it relates back to that pick ornament thing that you were talking about forward. The 3-3-2 pattern, because if you think about it, you've got like 3 beats, and then so another way to say 3-3-2 is long, long, short. Right?
Long, long, short. Yeah.
Yeah, like long, long, short.
Yeah.
And whenever you have a short kind of cell at the end of a phrase like that, to me that creates forward momentum and pushes you into the next measure of music. You know what I mean? It's almost like a slingshot or something, you know? But the even 4 pattern is very even, right? It doesn't have that kind of forward momentum. It has like steady momentum, whereas 3-3-2, like, kind of like you said, adds some life and forward momentum and vivid kind of color to it. So that's how I think about cross-picking arrangements. I start with the even one and then add the forward momentum stuff later as I build on it.
Yeah, that's I like that approach also, that we're because I mean I guess that's the process of creating a lot of art, right? When people are, and when we're watching it, we see the end result, but most often we don't know how could someone go there? How did anyone get there? But now that you describe that process, it's like there's like a little middle step in between that making so we're not doing the whole journey on one day. Basically, it's a little middle stop and then like developing it further.
And I would say even like the middle stop occupies a lot of the time of this process. You know what I mean? Because for Eliza Jane specifically, I remember that tune I had for my basic version with the 4+4 patterns and everything. When I wrote that, I probably sat on that arrangement for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, just kind of coming back to it every day and being like, does this frame the melody properly? Maybe I'll remove some cross-picking here to highlight that melody note, etc. And then once I find a good basic version like that, that's really when it's kind of like you said, the art comes into it and the improvisation or the spontaneity. So I'll start to kind of modify it on the fly after I have that really basic arrangement.
Yeah. And I guess that's something that people listening can take some away from this, that like just knowing that you don't have to create kind of the flagship arrangement at once. You start by doing like finding this 4+4, keeping the melody in its like the even kind of structure, but then when you can do it like that, then you can start make it more groovy, more syncopated by adding this 3-3-2. That gives a little push and I don't remember the exact word you used there, but forward move, like forward
momentum,
moving. Momentum, yeah.
Yeah. I love the push too. Push is like definitely a term that people use for that 3-3-2 kind of thing. So yeah.
All right, folks, that's that little tip there that I think can wrap up this little session. We're going for 35 minutes now, and just want to say thanks for everyone tuning in and listening to us live.
Yeah, we've got Nick and Marion and Karen. Thanks so much to all you folks out there. Ian, it's always good to have some people to talk with, right, Magnus?
Yes. Really enjoy it.
Yeah.
People here.
But I don't have much other here. Just want to say that we'll be back in 2 weeks for another show. So for those of you listening out there now, head to mandolinsecrets.com/live for more information on how to keep up with the show there. And that's about all I got, buddy.
Yes. Thank you so much, people. And also one little reminder before we leave, remember, always be a music maker. Thank you so much.